Hey there, and welcome to That's Audacious, where we share entrepreneurial stories from amazing leaders to inspire and motivate you to be bold, brave, and audacious. I'm your host, Lauren Clement, the brand navigator, here to share stories that will make you say, well, that's audacious. And welcome to another episode of the That's Audacious podcast. My guest today, oddly named the boring writer, because she absolutely isn't, is the wonderful Robyn Baker, who helps turn businesses with opportunities into funding, growth, and long-term success. She's got over 45 years of experience across government, corporate, and community sectors, and she combines strategic insight with powerful connections to create real results. Robyn, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. I can't believe you've been doing it for 45 years. You don't look that old.
It's probably a bit longer than that, actually. But anyway, I am. My number starts with a 6, and I'm not saying where I am in that 6 range.
I love it.
But thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about where you came from and why you're now positioned as the boring writer and what you're doing. So how did you get into that?
Okay, so back in 1980, before most people were born, I started my career in government, and I had some fantastic mentors that sort of showed the way and opened the door for me. And that was in the Brisbane City Council. So I did 20 years in the Brisbane City Council. And no matter what job I was doing, in the beginning, in the early days, one of these beautiful mentors says to me, we've got this committee and we assess tenders. Are you interested in this sort of thing? And I said, oh, I'd love to do that. And then went, oh my gosh, because we used to walk into rooms, boardrooms, with files on the floor, on the chairs, on the table, blocking the other door out of the boardroom. And they would throw some of us young ones in there and they'd say, okay, this is what we're looking for. Filter through all these. So we'd get it down to a filter where then there were just files on top of the boardroom table. And then they would show us and educate us on how to break that down further to make a decision on who would win a tender. A government tender. And that evolved into, I was working in an area and we used to have all these different charities and different organisations come to us for money because they were on leased properties on leased council land. And, they'd have all these things going wrong with the building or whatever, and they'd want us to give them funding. And it always ran out by January. And we had no money to give them from January to July. And there was no process of establishing who deserved that money more than the others. We were just, as they came in, we were paying them. So we went, why don't we do this like tenders? So then this committee came about and it was a grants committee, and that now is duplicated all across the southern hemisphere of councils. That grant process system, because it made it a way of we could spend enough quantity and quality of time at our normal job that we weren't ad hocing assessing stuff all the time, or not emailing. It wasn't emailing back in the day. It was a file that the records people would run to you and stuff and bring to you and go, this needs a decision by 5 o'clock this afternoon, and yeah, so it was a system way of doing it. So that's how I got into the boring stuff, assessing it. So 20 years in government, I stepped out of government. A few things happened. The guys all got given redundancies and I didn't, so I wasn't really overly happy with that. Anyway, so and I had a child who wasn't 100% healthy at the time, and I just needed to spend some more time with them as well. So I stepped out of government within 2 weeks, where I thought, this will be great, doing nothing. I was bored as. And some of the guys who'd stepped out on their own came to me and said, we'd love you to do some work for us if you just want to work from home. So I did that. So I did that for a long time as well. And then I don't know, you get to a point in your life where you just sort of think, the numbers are great, the money coming in is fantastic, but when you ring somebody to tell them that they've won a tender and it's like 30 million or 300 million or whatever, the big figures, and they're like, yeah, just pass it on to franking accounts. Like, there was no crying on the phone anymore. So in 2016, I went, you know what, I'm going to step back from the corporate and the big stuff, and I'm going to step back to the small businesses. Because when I started doing it in 2016, nobody knew what a tender for a small business was if they had never had anything to do with them. And I did have a lot of people say to me, the government doesn't give you money that you don't have to pay back. And I'm like, yes, they do. And it's called a grant. So that's how I think I accidentally always fall into what I'm doing. I don't know. Something happens and I go, I think I'll try this, give it a go.
Yeah, I love it. So you've built yourself a really solid reputation as somebody who, I know you do awards judging and so on, but you've got a high level of integrity with what you do. Do you think that's come from that knowledge of what an assessment process looks like and having to be Switzerland and not?
Yes.
Do you think it's come from that as well?
Yeah, I think so. And I think also anybody who's worked in government a long time, it's an institution. And if you've done more than 10 years there, you know what can happen with regulation and governance and if you do the wrong thing. So I'm very, I'm probably way too open with people and my clients and things like that. But I never want something where the triple C's hot on my heel or a client doing, if I come in and I see a client doing something that they shouldn't be doing, they might know, and it could be workplace health and safety or something like that. Like I'm always the first one to have that conversation and say, hey, you need to implement this, it probably does. It probably comes from writing legislation and doing those sort of things as well.
Yeah, you've been institutionalised. Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Government does that.
Yeah, government does that. So when you've been building your own profile and Robyn, as somebody who specialises in tenders and grants and so on, how have you positioned yourself to attract the right sort of customers to do what you do? How have you built your brand?
Yeah, that's interesting because it's kind of evolved. And I think I was scared to go on LinkedIn for a long time because I thought all my corporate and government people will link in with me. And that wasn't what, anybody like you that has a marketing background, I'm like, that's not my target market. But then I realized that those people were really valuable to my clients and I kept going to things and they're saying, do you have LinkedIn? So I ended up biting the bullet and getting LinkedIn. I think all those people that, so they always knew the type of person I was. And I came through a time where if you were a female and you stood tall and stood strong in amongst a sea of males, you kind of got noticed. So I think I kind of got noticed. And like I said, I had fantastic mentors that were way higher up in the organisation than me that, held my hand, showed me the way sort of thing. And I always leveraged as the token female on everything. Like, you need a female on that thing. You need a female on that. And I always leveraged that I could do that for you. So I think government people, corporate people, they remember me. The hardest thing was going into small business things and not knowing a person in the room. I found that very hard because I used to walk into rooms and people knew me and they knew what I did. And I didn't have to explain anything. So I think that was the hardest thing going into my own business, was getting other small businesses to know who I was.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's change tack a little bit and talk a little bit about awards, because I know one of the things you've said to me is you'll never enter awards yourself, but you are an awards judge. So I'm really interested in, a lot of people go, oh, tenders, grants, awards, they're all sort of bundled into the same thing.
Yeah.
What do you see? Why did you decide, hey, awards is something that you can be involved with?
Well, again, this is something that evolved. So I went to something with a client. Last thing I wanted to do was go to an awards where everyone was dressed up glamorously. And I wasn't up for an award. She was up for an award and she had paid for me and everything to go. And she was so excited because I always say awards win grants, and they win grants and they win tenders because they have a credibility around them assigned to them. So I had said to her, you need to enter awards. She did that, became one of the top finalists. And I went along with her. And the organisation was sort of like, I'd watched them from peripheral and thought, like that's for others, maybe not for me. And I don't know, they were just warm. They embraced me. And then she said, she was championing me in a room that I was trying to champion her in, and I was saying, I'm just her business manager, and she was getting around telling everybody about me. And then the people running it came to me and said, we always need judges. Would you be interested in being a judge? So that's where my journey began as a judge, and I suppose it's evolved since then. It's something that you do out of your time. It's a bit of a give back. I love judging the ones, the ones to watch or emerging and that, because I then do case studies and I watch them and see how they go afterwards as well. So I love it. And when you're a judge, one of the bonuses is they get you to hand out the awards as well. So everybody loves you when you're handing out an award. It's a wonderful thing to do, but it's also a fantastic opportunity to network and connect with people. And even though I've never been up for an award, mind you, I do have awards. I have a whole shelf behind me of accolades and awards, because the different organisations that I've been a judge for, I kind of think where I am in business, I don't need that. I don't need that to grow my business or build my business. I'm fine at the stage I'm at, but I kind of think it's for other people. If I go for an award, I might be taking it away from somebody else. So I kind of think that's not for me. So they know my feelings and they make an award and then they give it to me. And I'm the only person who has that actual award. So that's lovely.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. It's also evidence of how highly they think of you in terms of your accountability, your integrity, and the way that you approach these things. I think that whole having an assessment mindset that makes you very integral to what you do. And I know we've judged awards together, and I've experienced with being on a panel with you, because there is a lot of unconscious bias that comes through in awards, isn't there? So, and we see it all the time. I think being an awards judge is definitely an honour for people, and they can use that to build their profile for credibility and so on. But also knowing that you are making a proper assessment of somebody's business or situation or whatever that entry is that they've given you, without bringing any external feeling or thinking or opinion. So we talked briefly the other day on another conversation I had with you about the use of AI with awards and tenders and grants and things. What's your thinking around that?
No, awards judges, not just award judges, but anybody who assesses anything. So tenders, grants, awards judging, all of that stuff. Most people in general now, I'm sure, can see through that. The generic words, the expressions, the double hyphens, the different things that come through that are glaringly AI. And the thing that's always interesting with awards, and I always say to people, just because you have the biggest company or the biggest turnover doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. If you can see with any of those things that heart and soul's gone into it, and you would know with writing them, speaking from that person's, speaking from them, being them, and speaking in a way that their passion comes across and their information comes across. It's very clear. The comprehension of the question is answered. Not always the biggest money turnover, biggest company will necessarily be the winners. And I think that comes a lot with, and grants can be very similar in that sense to awards, is if you know your audience and people like you who write those awards strategically, you know the audiences that people are addressing and the application they're going for. So you position them that they're positioned in the best category. You position them that they're going for the best awards. And grants can be the same. It's like, know that person for that organisation. Because like I say to people with grants, it's not about you and it's not about the money. It's about how good you make that organisation look. And awards can be very much the same. It's what impact are you creating which will align with what they have as well.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't go for awards because they don't think they've done enough. And yet, all it is about positioning yourself. You are listening to the That's Audacious podcast. If you like what you're hearing, there are plenty of other episodes with extraordinary people doing amazing things. So get your access to the podcast via Spotify or your favourite channel, and certainly like and subscribe to make sure you know when the next one comes out. Now, Robyn, what I'd like to talk about is some steps for people. So if someone's sitting there going, I think probably either I should go for an award, or maybe there's a tender I should go for, or there might be a grant out there. What do they need to do to kick that off, to really think about doing it seriously?
Okay, so seriously, first look at your positioning. So I always say try and work with an organisation such as yourself, so that you can look at, there's two types of awards I like to put them in, and awards come into all different tiers under that. So there's awards that we call credibility awards, and there's awards that we call visibility awards. So figure out what the outcome, what do you want to do with, and it's not just the award, it's like we talked about, the majority of people don't win the award. So you'll have like 10 or more people in a category and only 3 are going to win an award, and you probably mightn't be one of those. So what do you do with running for that award? What do you do as a finalist? What do you want that outcome to be? If you just want to be seen, if you're a little business and you just want to be seen, then visibility awards create noise. So you can, and you can do that with both. You can do it with credibility awards as well. But the credibility awards are the ones I like the most because they actually open real doors. So if you're looking to grow your business and you want to be strategic about it, that the credibility awards, being a finalist, even just being there on the night. Like I say to people, go on the night to the awards. Don't just sit at the table you're at. Get around, meet as many, even if you're doing a selfie, like walking into the toilet with somebody else. Oh my God, can we get a photo together? Tag those people. Run your marketing off of it. You cannot buy the amount monetary marketing that you will get from being at an awards evening or a conference where there's an awards at the end of it. You can't buy that from a marketing perspective, like no matter how much you pay to enter those awards. So if you've got to look at it, the fact that I might win an award, so write yourself an acceptance thing. If you're going to win the gold and you get to talk, right, make sure you've got something that you just don't get up there and you blab. But make sure you get up there and you mention your business and those important things. But also look at those other things. So the outcome that you're looking for. So look at the worst case scenario. I probably won't win this, but how can I leverage this on every other way? And if you know there's judges of those awards in the room, run around and get their photographs with those judges because they will have a huge following as well, and you can tag off the back of them. So just keep in mind, do I want noise around marketing? I can also make that noise around marketing myself. So do I just want the noise around that, or do I want community and credibility as to which sort you go to? And then consider those tiers, because you can strategically work your way through awards where you can win the smaller ones and you can work your way up to the bigger ones. And the more credibility that you have on the back of that, the more chances you're going to have.
Yeah, music to my ears, Robyn. We're preaching from the same hymn book, and I must tell you, the photographs in the bathrooms at awards are normally the best ones, actually.
Yeah, I've had
ones in the bathroom.
There's some amazing mirrors in some of those bathrooms, beautiful gold mirrors and stuff.
Amazing. And you meet the most amazing people. So great tips there. So if you're considering entering awards, it's about how you leverage it. And we talk about this all the time. Don't wait to see if you win. Right from the minute you've submitted, you're now an official entrant. Yeah. Be prepared to give a speech. Make sure you network. Every time I go to awards events, I take a handful of vouchers with me, which give people 30-day free access to the Audacious Academy. Yeah. Whole courses in there and downloads. It's like the Netflix of profile building with how to leverage your award and so on. Because and I just hand those out to the winners and go, hey, congratulations. Go and use this for 30 days and make sure you use it and leverage it and so on. Robyn, you've come a long way from when you first started working in government, assessing projects, taking files by hand and making people run around before emails existed. I don't know where you might go back to, but if you could go back in time to give yourself some advice that would be useful for you today, what would that advice be?
So I'll give you 3 pieces of advice.
Why not?
And one fits with the audacious. Be audacious. Take those risks, and take those risks. Don't let others hold you back, because those biggest critics, they aren't paying your bills. So be audacious, put yourself out there. There's one thing that I've always told teams that I work with when I've been a leader in government and corporate is, if you don't ask me the question, the answer will always be no. And I even work that with my children. I said, if you don't ask me, then it'll always be no will be the answer. And I don't know, be like Nike, just do it.
I love it. 3 great tips 3 great tips. If you want to get in touch with Robyn, the boring writer, she's far less than boring, I would tell you. She's the opposite of that. She's amazing, but she does write the boring stuff. Want to go for tenders for grants, if you want to work with her in terms of any of that work around building credibility, and of course if you want to have her as awards judge, I'm sure she would love to talk to you. What sort of awards you run. It is all about branding by association, of course, and aligning yourself with the right awards, but please reach out and get in touch with Robyn Baker, the boring writer. All her contact details are here at the bottom of this interview. And thank you so much, Robyn, for sharing with us a little bit of your journey as to how you grew your own award-winning profile with what you're doing. And thank you for the time that you put in and you invest into judging awards, and taking the time to assess people properly, and really setting the standard for that benchmark around integrity with awards judging.
Thank you for that. And I will say, though, in 2021, when we were all suffering the great toilet paper shortage of the world, for one organisation, I judged 97 finalists over 13 categories, and it was 7 business days, and it was 30 hours of interviewing. So please love your judges and show them some love. And if you're at an event, be kind to them, because they are doing it off their own bat.
Yeah, absolutely. Good message for the judges out there, because they do an amazing job. Like you have done a lot of judging as well. And it is one of the things we love to do when we go to awards events, is go and meet up with the judges, because chances are they've had a few drinks and they're quite capable of telling you exactly how the judging operates. And you learn a lot by talking to judges.
Yeah. But don't ask them if you didn't win it or whatever. Don't say to them, where did I come? Because like I said, 97 finalists over 13 categories, that most of them would be doing that.
Yeah.
They would need their notes to know exactly where you came.
And the answer is going to be, well, you didn't come first, because I can't tell you.
Probably did you not come first, second, or
third? Yeah, absolutely. So go for it. So thank you so much, Robyn. It's been a pleasure having you on the call today, and thank you for sharing your insights. You're amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to the That's Audacious podcast. Remember, there's no place for modesty in business, and you do deserve to be well known, well paid, and wanted. For more episodes, please subscribe to the podcast on your favourite channel or follow us online. The links are in the description below.